Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NBA show brought to you by the Sports Affiliation. This is um, going to be episode 6. We're breaking it down 2 game 7s, the last 2 game 7s, the last 2 games of the semi conference finals. So, very much looking forward to. All right, sorry, we've been having technical difficulties. As you can see, show's starting a little later than normal. But once you get to a game 7, it gets pretty interesting in the aspect of everything hinges, the pressure of it, the crowd, the referees. Which I did look at the referees for today's game, so that's going to be good to find out. Just there's just they say it's the most exciting word in sports. With you have the NHL, you have the NBA, and you have the MLB. I guess I'm trying to think. Sometimes you have a seventh set in tennis, or I guess to break a tie you would. And yeah, I mean, I just don't know. It's going to be interesting, man. The Eastern Conference Finals, we got New York Knicks at Indiana Pacers. It's going to be, or excuse me, Indiana Pacers at New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. That should be an interesting matchup. Jalen Brunson, can he deliver one more time? Are they too banged up with Josh Hart's abdominal muscles, Isaiah Hartenstein's shoulders, OJ Anunoby's coming back, or is he? There's a lot of factors in that game. It is the early game on the East Coast. That's going to Madison Square Garden is going to be rowdy, man. I know my man Scott Ingle will be there as well. He's not at Madison Square, but I know he's there as a Knicks fan, and it's going to be interesting if the Knicks can play Boston. I think Indiana honestly might match up better against Boston. I expect Boston to just cruise through whoever wins this matchup. But taking a look at it, let me bring the screen up and we'll have that going. But in the meantime, until we get that going, yeah, you know what? If you have any opinions on this game, just put them in the comments and I'll get them over there to you. We'll put them on the board. We'll talk about it. Just me monologuing it today, so going to be a short show, probably about 15 or 20 minutes. Hit what we got to say because there's nobody else to give feedback as of now. So we'll see what's going on there. Pacers are 3.5 point underdogs, -162 for the Knicks at home. Jalen Brunson's point line's at 35.5. I saw that earlier. And I was just like, man, I want to take his over so bad, but 35.5 points. That's going to be pretty difficult to do on a game 7. I did do an interesting bet. I wrote it for my Fantasy Alarm article. If you want to go check that out, just go check out Fantasy Alarm All Pro. Get the subscription. You can check out my NBA betting bets over there. Of course, TSA, we do have the Discord giving away free daily bets. Yesterday, Evan said if you're feeling lucky, put the double on Lively. And Derek Lively the second, he delivered. Man, what a performance! Double. I think he had 16 rebounds, 15 or 16 rebounds. Stayed out of foul trouble. Really was the difference for the Dallas Mavericks in that game last night. Just a great back and forth one. It's OKC was up like 17 different times. Mavs just went on runs, shut down OKC, shut down SGA when they needed to. That's why Kyrie Irving now he still remains perfect in his closeout games. That's quite a statistic. I'm not the biggest stat guy, even though I'm a bettor and I look at statistics all the time. I think that's a pretty telling statistic to have yourself be 13-0 in closeout games. Nothing too nothing becomes more clutch than being perfect when you have a chance to win a series. So, like, the definition of it, in my opinion, are you a person your team can lean on when not only the game is on the line, but when the moment in the game is on the line, right? And Kyrie's done it again and again. Luka got his triple double again, just a triple double playoff machine over there. 29 points, one shy of the 30, but just an outstanding performance. Did cash on him doing 4 threes and scoring a triple double. That was great odds. Gotta love those bets. But yeah, back to the games at hand. I'm going to get the screen up here real quick for everybody. Looking at a 3.5 point spread for the Knicks, and it is kind of it's a toss-up game. The line's bouncing. It's back up to 208.5. It was at 208. It was at 210, I believe, to start, or 209.5. And it's interesting to see it. The game 7, you want to just bet the under naturally, just because you figure these games are going to be so low scoring. But not one game in this series has been under 208.5 points. Not one. All six of them have been above that. Some of them have been 30, some of them have been 40 above that. So that's something to keep in mind when you're betting. If you don't have a good feel for maybe who you think is going to win this game, the total's there. Do you go with, traditional pass, or do you go to a different path and just say like, hey, 6 games in a row, we got one more. What's it going to take? I think that's going to be an interesting game. It starts at 140 here in the mountains, so that's 340 on the East Coast. Probably a 330, program. They'll be there going back and forth, giving the lineups, giving the opinions. That one I believe is on ESPN. Minnesota, Denver, 6:05 here in the mountains. We love our mountain time here with our Denver Nuggets. They are 8:05 start time on the East Coast. That's going to be pretty interesting to watch as well. Always one of my favorites. Of course, my Nuggets. You could see it all back here behind me, repping out in every single way possible today. I'm going out in the town after this and going to talk to Nuggets fans who are optimistic and believe in the possibilities ahead. So let's go ahead and break down a little bit of this Pacers-Knicks game. Going to look at the points at it. Like I said, Jalen Brunson was already at ridiculous amount, 35.5. 34.5 right now. They bumped it down 1 point. Josh Hart, 10.5. That's going to be interesting. Pascal Siakam, man, he's been flirting right around that 20. He has 21.5. Pretty sure he had 22 points in the last game. That's something to keep in mind. TJ McConnell, if you think he can kind of keep a hot roll going, if you feel like he can be an X factor, right there, 9.5 points, -130. Little juiced up. If you think he gets chalked up, doesn't get as many minutes, +110 on the under. That's an interesting bet as far as I'm concerned. I always love the threes. We love threes, please. And the person to do it, Dante DiVincenzo, man, 3.5 at home, +120. That is some interesting money as far as I'm concerned. I think that if somebody's going to step it up and truly help Jalen Brunson in this match, it's going to be our man Dante over there. And 3.5 threes +120. My Lord, that just sounds so good. Obi Toppin, 1.5 for the Pacers, coming back to Madison Square Garden. Can really make a statement game. I think his points were 9.5. I kind of glossed over it. Let's see there. Obi Toppin, 8.5 +102. I mean, you think he can get maybe 1-3, go over there, make a couple of field goals, get fouled on one, and get the true traditional 3. That's all you need, man. That would be 10 points right there. That would be more than enough to cover that. That might be something I go look at after this game as well. I'm a rebound guy, but man, these rebounding lines have been so tight. Difficult to do. Isaiah Hartenstein, as of now, -102 on the over, -118 on 11.5. Awfully high number. Banged up shoulder. They do not have OG Anunoby's props out, but if he does play, expect that line to either get juiced down or for them to move it down, one or the other. Okay, be interesting to see how that goes. Josh Hart at 10.5. How much is that abdominal strain hurting? Was it just like more of a loser's limp in game 6? Yeah, I don't want, we're winning this. I feel something. Let's just get me out. Or was it something truly affecting him? Not so much of a loser lip, and that could have an effect on this game. I'm staying away, but that might be a good live option bet. Okay, love making money off the live bets. I feel like your percentages go way up because the bookies only have time to essentially, ×2, whatever the statistic is, or ×2 and take away 1. There's not much creativity. There's not much game planning involvement. Like, I don't know why they can't compute that as well for the live betting, but they don't. Okay, so that's one thing we can take advantage of. I just kind of say, Pete, thanks for showing up, man. Good morning to you as well, sir. Hope everything's going well over there. Thanks for being a part of the show. And yeah, just looking at Tyrese Halliburton, 4.5 rebounds. If he attacks the rim some, that could be a possibility. Pascal Siakam has been flirting right around 7.5. Miles Turner has been flirting right around 7.5. Either one of them are capable of having double-digit rebounding games. So that's something to maybe monitor live. I do like, the Dante +3s. I do like the Obi Toppin over 8.5. Anything that I'm seeing more here in the rebounding line. So, just keep that in mind while you're betting, okay? Take a look at lines, take a look at where we're going. A little under 4.5 hours away from that game right now. Man, I got to occupy my day, so I just don't sit and stare at the timer for these wonderful Game 7 games, man. Hey, if you're doing this, you're watching this for the first time, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the Sports Affiliation. If you want to, go join our Discord, very active chat over there. A lot going on in the best ball world, a lot going on in dynasty drafting, a lot of rookies. Anthony Juhatis, man, one of the best fantasy minds out there. He's very active on our Discord. Glad to have him at the Sports Affiliation. You want to pick his mind for what he's doing. You know, Ronnie, you got Greg, you got Hall of Famers that you have access to come in and talk with. So go check the Discord out. You'll love it. All right. I'm going to wrap it up with this game. You know, like I said, Dallas, Boston already punched their ticket. Two great teams, two great offenses. We'll see how that plays out. Minnesota at the Nuggets, man. You know, talking Ball Arena, Minnesota had an excellent game. I mean, an absolutely excellent game 6. We're making everything that was coming their way, and also playing great defense on the other end. I feel like that's been one injustice about this series. We've talked about the losing team way more than we've talked about the winning team. Give the winning team the credit, man. They've both stepped up in certain games. It's difficult to beat a team 4 times in a row if you're looking at this from a Denver perspective. You know, that's especially a good team like the Timberwolves. Coming in at Ball Arena, I don't expect Minnesota to have 14 more field goals. I don't expect them to have 8 more 3 points made. I don't expect them to out-rebound the Denver Nuggets by 19, okay? Those things aren't going to happen at Ball Arena. I'm telling you right now, the adrenaline, once that starts to wear off, the altitude is really going to kick in. We saw Ant gassed in Game 5. We saw him gassed in Game 2, honestly, even when they won. It just happened to be up by so much. We didn't see the effects of it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You know, how well is Karl Anthony Towns shaped late in games? He hasn't had a good series. They haven't needed him to at times. Naz Reid's been able to come in and play quite well. But this is going to be an interesting series. The spread keeps going from 4.5, 4, 5, depending on the sports book you're at. You know, of course, we're leaning on the Nuggets. It's one of those games. These games have been mostly blowouts. The first team to 100 points probably wins this game. The team that's winning this game by halfway through the third quarter probably wins this game. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to bet live. I've been pretty successful on that as well. So you just keep that in mind for this game. Whoever sets the tone coming, you know, the first quarter, you don't really know what to expect. You can kind of see what's happening later in the first quarter, which teams settle in. Might be some foul trouble, but, you know, we did not get Mark Davis 2 games in a row. Thank God. You know, the Nuggets are plus 45 with Mark Davis games. I believe they're negative 82 with games without him. That's significant. That goes beyond statistics. That's you know, the significant disparity, if you will. So you got in Scott Foster. You know, he's going to make it a little bit about him. Not exactly my favorite referee, but he will keep this game in check. He will keep Minnesota from playing bully ball and street ball, you know, and allow the Denver Nuggets to get in there. And, you know, he's going to call the fouls on Jokic. Jokic gets fouled practically every time he has the ball. They try to tackle him. He's just so strong. It makes it look very deceptive that he's not getting fouled. So look out for Jokic tonight. I do have some statistics. I had them rattled off, you know, but Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., and Coach Malone, they've all been in 4 Game 7s already as a unit, okay? First one against San Antonio in 2019, games at Denver in 2019 against a pretty good San Antonio Spurs team. Pretty sure Mark Aldridge is on that team. I remember watching that. Nikola Jokic, he had 15 rebounds, 10 assists, and 21 points. Okay, not bad. Moving to the next series against Portland at home, heartbreaker. This is really what cemented me as a Denver Nugget fan. Losing this 7-game series, watching this unwind. I remember we just moved to where a duplex I was living in, and just felt so great. You know, could play the TV sitting in the backyard. That was pretty fun. And they ended up losing that game, but he still had 13 rebounds, 2 assists, and 29 points. Okay, flash forward to 2020, what some people call the bubble year. I just like to call it 2020 what it is. Great basketball being played in that. People forget, I think, how great that basketball was during that time. Utah Jazz went to Game 7. That was against Rudy Gobert. That was against Mike Conley. That was against a probably equivalently defensive team as the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nikola Jokic had 14 rebounds, 4 assists, and 30 points against Rudy Gobert. Next series, flash forward, they come back, and by the way, they came down 1-3 in that series. Flash forward to the Los Angeles Clippers, the next round of 2020. They're down 3-1. Nikola Jokic, Game 7, 22 rebounds, 13 assists, 16 points, just making a fool of Ivica Zubac. Then, you know, here we are. I haven't had a Game 7 series until now. They won 5 series in a row. This is Ball Arena, man. We got to get McDaniel, or, you know, Denver needs to get McDaniel a little bit of foul trouble, get him out of the game early. free up that perimeter, because really McDaniels is the best defender on the team. Anthony Edwards is a great defender. Rudy Gobert is a great defender. But McDaniels is the one that kind of can disrupt a lot of the flow for a lot of teams on the perimeter, particularly in today's NBA of spreading players out. Getting on Murray as soon as he's getting near the 3-point line. They can't run that high pick and roll as much as they like to. They being Nikola and Jamal are going to have to probably work on that side game. Look out for Aaron Gordon this game. Look out for Michael Porter this game. I think one of those two are going to have a really great game in order for the Nuggets to blow them away, cover this spread by 5 points. Michael Porter Jr. is due a game, but we've said that a while. He didn't have a great final series last year. He had a great series against the Lakers. Both times he's had some great series. Against Phoenix, he was really good last year. Minnesota's been giving him a little grief, but he can step it up. In my opinion, it's going to come down to Nikola, and that's why we're going to look at some of these bets right here, okay? So 5-point spread, 198, just under negative 200 on the line for the Denver Nuggets, okay? Nikola Jokic is the MVP. He's going to have the highest point total here, of course. And where are his points? They've pulled them. I do not see Nikola Jokic's points at the moment. Oh, there they are, 29.5. It's what it was earlier, negative 135, 30-point game. I've seen 30.5 on some books. I think a 30-point game is right where it's going to be. He can get less than that if Michael Porter Jr. is having a good game, if Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is, draining them from behind the arc. If Jamal Murray just gets on a heater and can get some free and, is filling in rhythm, then he'll pass it off to him. Of course, he's going to pass it off to Aaron Gordon. 14.5 points for Gordon. That's a lot to look at. Anthony Edwards under 28.5 points. I think that's a good target. He's only had over 27 points twice in the 6 games of the series, despite how the media or the story might be presented. He's rightfully earned all the media attention, man. He's fabulous. I've said almost going on the second year now that he's the best American-born player. The problem is, Americans haven't been able to even be nominated for an MVP lately, much less get to carry the distinction as the best player in the world. That belongs to Nikola Jokic, and expect a good game from him, okay? Naz Reid, 8.5 points. That's probably, if Minnesota doesn't click in, if Cat gets in foul trouble, that's probably going to be an easy hit. That's at negative 105. Threes, this is what I really wanted to look at. Take a look at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope over 1.5 threes at negative 122. He's going to get his opportunities. If he gets in a rhythm, look out. That's an easy cover at negative 122. That's almost a double unit hammer, in my opinion. Something you've got to take a look at right there. Michael Porter Jr., if you think he can shake it, he's getting some of the best odds he's had in a long time at negative 102. You don't see that too much. Anthony Edwards, if you think he's going to make 3 threes, negative 155, take a look at that as well. Aaron Gordon, pretty low to just make 1 3. They juiced the heck out of that. No value left on it. And then, of course, Karl Anthony Towns, man, 1.5, negative 175. Heavily juiced. Something to take a look at. Rebounds. We're doing this real quick. I think it's just probably going to be Rudy Gobert, 11.5. Nikola Jokic, 12.5. Watch that. Minnesota is such a good rebounded team. Like I said, they out-rebounded them by 19. Nikola's going to have a presence, though, in this game. So that's something we'll keep an eye on. And then just wrapping it up, looking at the assists. Nikola Jokic, 8.5. Like I said, he gets that if people are shooting well. Pretty much everybody else is under 5.5, including Mike Conley, including Anthony Edwards, including Jamal Murray. So they're expecting to, go back to game 5, okay? That game was crucial, and Nikola Jokic had the ball in his hands so much, and they're probably going to try to do that as much as possible. It just depends on how confident, how well the other people are shooting around him, how the defense is being played around him. Okay, I do want to say thank you all for joining. Pete Sandoval, one more comment. Let's see, ready for a great game. I'm telling you, whoever wins this, they take the NBA championship. Yeah, Boston is not intimidating people. The greatest team, the Las Vegas still has Boston winning it all, Pete. I think that's pretty interesting. We'll see how it gets down there to it. But I do want to say one more time, thanks for joining us. Sorry for the late start today, but better late than never. Taking a look at that, I think, like I said, be careful. I like the over on the Knicks Pacers game, more than I like trying to figure out who's going to win that game. Mark Davis is in there. That could benefit the Knicks a little bit more with their bully style playing, but truth is the Knicks haven't been playing defense. So like I said, it's just difficult to gauge who's going to do well in that game. Minnesota-Denver might be a little biased, but I do expect Denver to cover that spread. It'd probably be competitive. Let's see who's coming out in the second quarter. The Nuggets usually have really great third quarters. And at some point, that altitude's going to kick in. Adrenaline's going to wear off. Both of those things just drain your body. And I expect to see a complete pull away by the Denver Nuggets, possibly 10, 15-point win tonight, as the best player in the NBA does his thing, Nikola Jokic. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. As always, like I said, please like, please subscribe. We'll be here next week. That'll be episode 7. And, there'll only be a couple more after that. The conference finals will be in full swing next week. So we will be talking about them. Who is Boston going to play? Who is Denver going to play? Denver upsetting the 1 seed. So the winner of Minnesota and Denver will have the home game. Of course, Boston's going to have home game through any round that they are in the playoffs. As always, like to say, bet smart, be lucky. Thank you for tuning in for the Sports Affiliation. I believe JC is going to have the watch party tonight for the Minnesota and Denver Nuggets matchup at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So if you're interested in that, please go check it out. And until next week, we'll see you later.